Welcome to Money Talks, a weekly feature on FM 93.5 The Berg and WMBG AM 740. Today we will talk just a little bit about money, maybe some of the things you can do with it, how it can impact your life, some ideas on financial planning and investing, and getting the most out of the money you hope to have, already have, or want to pass down. So sit back, relax, listen, and maybe take some notes, as you may have some questions by the time we're done with this edition of Money Talks. Dan Joss, welcome back to Money Talks. How are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good. So we've been talking about some different things. What are we going to talk about today? One of the same things or something different?
Something different. The fifth thing of the 5 things we can do with money. We've talked about spending, saving, servicing debt, and giving money. Today we're going to be talking about paying taxes.
Oh, great. Can't we avoid this one?
Well, we can avoid taxes, but I wouldn't evade taxes if I were you.
Oh, there's a nuance there that's probably pretty relevant.
That's right. We can do lots of things to avoid taxes. I've heard there are 2 things we can avoid, and that's death and taxes. But we can avoid taxes. We cannot spend anything, we cannot buy anything, and we cannot earn anything, and we'll pretty much avoid paying taxes.
Wow, that doesn't sound like a good option on how to avoid paying taxes, though.
Well, there's about half the people in the country don't pay federal income tax, but they do pay taxes. We see sales taxes and property taxes and other kind of taxes. So everybody pays taxes.
Everybody pays tax.
Yep. We can do things to avoid taxes. We can do things to defer taxes, like put money into a retirement account and pay tax later in retirement. We can give away money or appreciated assets to reduce taxes, and that's always a good thing. Or in fact, giving appreciated stock, we avoid tax. We can pay off our debt early.
Interest paying off the debt helps you avoid a tax?
Well, some interest expense is deductible for tax purposes. And so by paying off the debt, we've lost the tax deduction, but more importantly, we've lost the debt. So we've reduced the outflow.
Okay.
Ideally, we should pay as little as legally required. So you want to make sure the tax that you do are filed correctly, accurately.
Right.
And we want to plan to be flexible in the future.
Okay.
And so by investing in the right account, whether it's a taxable account where we want to be tax efficient, whether it's a tax deferred account, like I mentioned, the IRA, we can have tax inefficient investments in the IRA, and so they're all delayed. And then the Roth account for some, we can avoid taxes, pay taxes on what we put in, but then have tax-free investments and tax-free gain for the rest of our life and for the rest of the lives of our beneficiaries.
Wow.
So
that's a lot to understand.
Everything we do is some way related to taxes, and so it's best to know about it or talk with somebody that knows about it a couple of times a year. And instead of when we file our tax return in the first part of the year for last year,
that would be April, right?
Or October for some.
Okay.
I meet with my tax preparer 3 times a year to plan so that when I do something, I'm aware of what's going to happen with my taxes before I actually make a decision or take an action.
Okay.
And then that way we're minimizing the taxes we pay. And we may realize taxes on purpose, by harvesting gains in some situations, or we may harvest losses at different times to reduce our taxes. And there's a bunching of gifts we may do now that the standard deduction has changed. It's more advantageous sometimes for certain givers to give in lumps, different years. There's lots of different strategies depending on how much tax you owe. A way to minimize that over not just this year, but over a period of years or a lifetime.
Okay.
Luke wrote, "Then give to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to God the things that are God's." And that was a quote from Jesus saying, "Hey, you got to pay taxes, so pay your taxes."
Okay.
Was it Al Capone that got busted for not paying his
for
taxes?
all the things that supposedly he did that were wrong,
He didn't pay his taxes.
he didn't pay his taxes, and that's what they got him on. Isn't that crazy?
Yep. That's all I have for today.
That's all you have for today. All right.
Pay as little as legally required. Plan to be flexible,
Nice.
because they'll change the tax laws.
Of course.
And the more flexible we have our things in order, the better we'll be.
And you talked about planning and seeing your tax advisor 3 times a year, thereabouts.
I see mine 3 times a year.
Okay. And I think that's a really excellent point, that if we wait until, I don't know, April 15th to open an IRA, that's probably not the best plan. Going ahead and putting a little plan together and checking in along the way, it's like taking that thermometer and checking the chicken as you're cooking it to make sure that it's not undercooked, not overcooked. You got to check it along the way. Otherwise, you wind up with something that's probably not that great.
I'd agree. And the tax preparers get their refresher courses, and so they're up on all the changes that come out, and there are many of them.
Right.
And I don't want to do that.
You don't want to do that. No.
I go to the expert.
Okay. And we happen to have a couple of tax preparers who advertise on the station, so I'll encourage you to maybe give them a call if you're listening. I won't give them the shameless plug, but I will say stay tuned. You'll hear their ad soon. So, Dan Joss, we appreciate you coming in for another edition of Money Talks and the great wisdom. If somebody wants to reach you and just talk to you about money, what do you suggest they do?
They can call me, 757-903-2127.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Dan Joss.
Thank you.
Money Talks is a weekly program presented for the listener's benefit and entertainment. It is provided at no cost to the listener, and the ideas, opinions, and comments are not to be construed as legal advice, tax advice, investment advice, or other advice specific to the listener. Listeners are encouraged to seek the advice of a licensed professional or other qualified party when dealing with financial, legal, tax, medical, investment, insurance, taxidermy, plumbing, electrical, carpentry, real estate, chiropractic, veterinary, oral hygiene, hot air ballooning, etc. We have given you some food for thought. Now, call a licensed professional such as Dan Joss at 757-903-2127. Thanks for listening, and remember, failing to plan is planning to fail.